You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host today. We've been talking about the nexus of the CIA and Hollywood, how they use Hollywood to propagandize people, how they attack and assassinate journalists and screenwriters who expose criminal actions. And of course, there's a story that is just breaking. It was some British documentarians doing a film, The Writer with No Hands. It turns out that a well-known screenwriter in Hollywood nearly 20 years ago disappeared just as he was about to reveal the real reasons for the invasion of Panama. Somebody who had very, very close ties with the CIA, who had traveled extensively with the CIA, especially to Panama. Perhaps he really did know what was going on. Nevertheless, this is a guy who turned up a year later after he disappeared. His car was underwater. His hands had been cut off, and there were many aspects of his disappearance that were suspicious. But of course, that seems to be par for the course. We've seen that happen with Michael Hastings as well. I wanted to go over a couple of news articles that are on Infowars.com, and we're going to go back to your calls. The number is 877-789-ALEX. That's 877-789-ALEX. It's a different number on Sundays than it is through the week. We're also going to talk this hour about jury nullification and how it is showing up in the trial of the person accused of running Silk Road. But right now there's some headlines up, and I think this is a very positive thing. See if you think it is. You can call us and let us know. We've got Chuck Norris now raising red flags over Monsanto's glyphosate. That's Roundup is the popular term for that. I think this is a very positive thing because typically people who are conservatives, people who are on the right, don't typically pay attention to health issues. It's sad that they don't. Usually it's people that, if you look at the traditional left-right spectrum, it's usually people on the left who are more concerned about the quality and the purity of food. But of course, Chuck Norris is somebody who is not only coming from a conservative standpoint, but he's somebody who pays a lot of attention to health issues, exercising and taking care of himself. There's also a story up on Infowars.com. There is no inflation unless you eat food, use water, live in a house, get sick, go to school, or do taxes. Yeah, there's some, the government's figures say that we're not seeing inflation, and yet if you look at the very figures that they have in there, even that they mix the data around, massage it to get a number, an overall number that looks good. But if you look at specifics in there, we see things like food at home are up 3.7%, food away from home up 3%, meat 12.7% increase, eggs 10.7%, milk 5.2%. So food and things that you're buying at the retail level are seemingly going up, even though we know, and I filed a report on this last Friday on the Nightly News, even though we know that commodities are in a severe decline globally. And that's part of a decline in the global economy. We've also seen reports last week that the World Bank is saying that in spite of the fall in oil, they don't expect to see the global economy recover. I think that's the real story behind the fall of the oil, something that people are not looking at, even though we know that the Saudis are manipulating the price of oil in order to get control of the oil market again, take it away from domestic manufacturers, the shale industry, the fracking industry that came up. They have a much higher cost of production than the Saudis do, so they can take it down below $50 a barrel, which they believe is a break-even point for the shale. They can take it down to 40 or even lower because most people believe the Saudis' cost is $20 per barrel. So even at $40 a barrel, which is well under the cost of the new fracking suppliers, they're still doubling their money. They're still operating at 100% profit. They've been operating just 6 months ago. We had prices that were over $100 per barrel. They were making a 500, 600% profit off of their oil. So they can easily live for a while with a 100% profit while they drive their domestic competitors out of business, put the screws on the Russian economy. But even that isn't going to help us in the long run. It's not going to, that's not the real fundamental problem with all this. The real fundamental problem is that the global economy is so weak that all they have to do is keep production at the levels they were, and they can drop the price by 50% in just a couple of months. Stay with us. We're going to be right back, taking your calls at 877-789-ALEX. We'll be right back.
Sold out for weeks due to the difficult and extensive proprietary process behind its creation, the exclusive InfoWars Life Secret 12 formulation is now back in stock. This ultra-clean vitamin B12 nutraceutical has been carefully crafted and developed over the last 2 years and is based on cellular science of how your body actively absorbs essential nutrients. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin, the most bioactive form that has been created with our proprietary process. Secret 12 is taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Supplies of Secret 12 are very limited. Secure yours today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
When you grab and dance with your friends,
KLN, Los Angeles. Clone Radio. We play the songs that sound more like everyone else than anyone else. Clone.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. The Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man.
The answer to 1984 is 1776. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Welcome back to The Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host on this Sunday, January 18th, 2015. We've been talking about the latest revelations about the NSA and what they're up to from Snowden, saying that mass surveillance was only phase 0. Phase 3 is total dominance, total control, offensive attacks, taking down infrastructure. That's real war, folks. That's not just spying on people and taking them to court because you're misconstruing what they're saying online. That is something we should all be very concerned about. And, of course, we also have some other articles up at Infowars.com. One of them, we had some interesting comments from Liam Neeson, somebody who makes his living with guns on the screen, showing himself taking vengeance as a vigilante. And, of course, his latest movie, Taken 3, which is, I think, if you look at Internet Movie Database, imdb.com, it's got the lowest ratings of any movie that is currently in the theaters right now, the lowest critical ratings, after his remarks about how every week we're picking up a newspaper and seeing yet another few kids have been killed in schools, essentially blaming the shootings in Paris on America's Second Amendment. We have an article up on Infowars.com. Firearms manufacturer says that they regret providing guns for his latest movie, Taken 3, after his anti-gun remarks. This is a company called Para USA. They put on their Facebook page, they regret their decision to provide firearms for the use in the film, asserting that the actor's statements undermined support of the Second Amendment as well as American liberties. So how could you look at a situation like this where somebody is able to go through and shoot the town up because nobody in France has guns? Why would you draw the conclusion that therefore we ought to get rid of our guns and become like France? When only the government has guns, then basically you have paved the way for a government tyranny, and you've made it possible that only the criminals are going to have guns. It certainly didn't stop these guys who shot up Paris to have gun control in France. It just assured that there wasn't going to be any honest person there who could stand up and stop it until the police got there, or at least delay what was happening. And, of course, the law-abiding citizens are going to be made criminals if they try to protect themselves. Let's go to your calls right now. We've got Steve in Pennsylvania. You said there was a Second Amendment rally that you want to talk about? Go ahead.
Yes. Hold on. Yes, we're having a Second Amendment rally. It's called Starve the Wolf, Defend the Flock.
And, yeah, I guess if we have a nation of sheep, they're going to be ruled by wolves, so that's the name of your rally. Where is it?
It's in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's right across the street.
Are you rallying against some proposed legislation that's coming in Pennsylvania?
Not as of right now, because we have. Hold on, my phone's being stupid right now. I can hardly hear you.
Okay.
Let me go back to the speaker. We're having a rally because of Tom Wolf's anti.
Well, we're having trouble getting him. I think he's having his phone break up. Let's go to Brett in Canada. Brett, you wanted to talk about American Sniper. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's right, Dave. I saw it last week, and man, was I furious. You know, I don't know what got me most irate, but it was probably the end. The last few seconds of the movie were just text saying Chris Kyle was murdered by this guy and blah, 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 blah. Well, I felt that was going to be the main portion of the film. What happened to him after the war, you know, with Kraft being a millionaire, all of his involvement, the murder, conspiracy, kind of, you know, what's going on there. But none of that was really touched. It seemed weird how they just dipped their toes into all these issues and didn't really go anywhere with it.
You know, there was an interesting.
It really felt like it.
Yeah, there was an interesting review that The Atlantic had. This is someone named Megan Garber. One of the things that she said was that they really kind of just focused on his internal conflict and what he was going through without looking at all at the bigger picture about the politics of the war. She says that George Bush and Colin Powell are never named, neither is Saddam Hussein. We don't hear anything about weapons of mass destruction that they were looking for that didn't exist. We don't hear anything about oil being a part of it. We don't hear anything about George Bush's, quote, he tried to kill my dad. We don't hear any of that. And so she said, instead, the tensions here are microcosmic and personal, concerned with the conflicts that are inherent in his work that he repeatedly refers to as his job. Is that your take on it? They basically didn't talk about the why he was in Iraq?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was watching TV. All of a sudden, he sees some stuff go on, 9/11. Well, I better go down there and sign up. Cut to the recruiting station. I mean, it might as well not have been a movie about Chris Kyle. It should have just been a generic American Sniper. Just some guy, you know, he feels like he needs to go and do this. But why tell the Chris Kyle story and not tell the Chris Kyle story?
I guess when I looked at this review, and I haven't seen the movie yet, I saw the preview, and I didn't want to go support this because I thought it was going to be a rah-rah, let's support the troops regardless of what they do. And if they don't talk about the cause of the war, then if you don't make a case for a just cause, for a just war, then you're just killing people. There's not any, if it doesn't have the right context, then I don't believe that it's justified. And to make a hero out of somebody who says, as she points out, he mentions in the movie, well, I just love war. And she said he describes the fact that he thought that killing people was fun. And, quote, I couldn't give a flying F about the Iraqis. I hate the damn savages. He said, she asked the question, is it really a sacrifice when you enjoy it? Is it really heroism if you're just motivated by enjoying killing people? What do you think? What's your take on this? Do they glorify the fact that he's just out there killing people without any context, without any reason?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was one of the opening scenes where there was a little boy, and he was going to pick up a weapon of some kind. He was going to have to shoot the kid, but as it turned out, didn't have to. And the guy next to him was kind of, you know, pumped for this and was going to be, you know, a great shot. And they just kept on making him this huge hero. I forget what his nickname was, but they just kept on saying, "You've killed so many people. You've killed so many people. This is fantastic. You know, you're our." I forget what the nickname was, but they looked up to him as this legend just because of how many, you know, innocent people he's killed.
Yeah, and there's some questions as to whether or not he elaborated on that or not. Certainly, he wasn't beyond making things up about Jesse Ventura so he could sell his book, and that was something that a jury decided in a libel case. So when you look at this, And you look at recent movies that have come to light, the interview with Sony and so many of these, it looks like there is a deliberate manipulation, in my opinion, of the public. We know about that, but it's now coming out very frequently, very much in the open, that the CIA